So I'm converting this engine harness for warning lights to engine harness with gauges, and there's only two differences. One is the temperature sending unit connector, and the other is this oil pressure switch for warning light car. So for the temperature sending unit, the warning light harness comes with this kind of a connector. So this connector that comes on the warning light harness, I believe, is for a pin type sending unit like this one. So I think it pushes down over the top of the pin like that. Pretty sure that's how these go. So it sits something like that. For a gauge car, it uses the nail head type of sending unit. So it needs a wire end for that type of sending unit, and they're pretty easy to come by. You can just order the wire end and change it. So I only lost 1/4 inch of wire. Changing that. I didn't snip it outside the connector. Actually, I removed the connector and cut it. This has been stripped. I stripped it, but I lost maybe, I don't know, 1/4 inch of wire. I didn't try to separate that crimp. I just cut the wire off right below the crimp, and then that's about how much wire I lost. So it should have plenty of wire. And then the oil pressure sending unit, I'm going to remove it from the harness altogether. I'm not going to cut it. I'm going to unwrap the harness, and I'm going to remove the blue wire from the connector right here. And then put the new wire end on, and then instant engine harness for a gauge car. That's all there is to it. No need to spend money on a new harness. That would be foolish. I mean, if you're going to buy an aftermarket harness like this one, this is an aftermarket harness. This is not an original harness. I think this is possibly American Auto Wire. I don't remember. But that's the only difference. So the blue oil pressure wire that I'm going to remove, it's just above the yellow wire. I think that goes to the wiper. That's on the bottom corner right there. So on the connector itself, the yellow wire on the bottom, that position is open just above it, where the blue oil pressure wire would be. So I'm going to remove that wire, and this connector will also have an open position. Pretty ugly, but it's not that bad. With all that grease in there, that grease is just an anti-corrosion inhibitor. It is not a conductive type of grease. So I've unwrapped the harness just from the connector end to this intersection right here, and this wire twin lock connector, that's what these little wire ends are called, twin lock. Just stick a screwdriver down on either side of it and push the little tangs in. I've just took a little pocket screwdriver and ground it down pretty thin. And you just pull on the wire a little bit and stick you can already see that connector right there is starting to pull down. And they come out pretty easy. And just pull it out like so, and there it is. So there's the oil pressure switch wire removed from the harness. No cutting necessary. Now I'm going to rewrap the harness with wiring harness tape. So this is what I like to use. That's 3/4, maybe an inch. So let me get this taped up. Okay. Easy peasy. Stuff works really good. I don't like electrical tape for wiring harnesses. I like actual wiring harness tape. It's the only way to go. It's really easy to use. You just need to kind of like stretch it as you're pulling it. You can't wrap it loose. You gotta stretch it, pull it, and just overlap like 50%, and it works great. So that blue wire is now out of there, and that's all there is to it. Now it's a matter of putting the correct wire end on the temperature sending unit, and it'll be ready to go. So for the engine harness, this is the connector for the temperature sending unit for a gauge car. It has that little slot. And it slides over the terminal on the sending unit. Like so. So I'm going to crimp that wire end on. So you can crimp the wire end on and then slide that terminal into the housing afterwards. There's a little notch right there that holds it in. So I'm not going to use anything special to crimp it. I know there's a special crimping tool. This is my crimping tool. I just crimp the leads down one at a time. So I just crimp one side down and then crimp the other side down and then do the same thing. So you're actually only crimping down the front 2 tangs over the wire, and those rear 2 tangs crimp down over the wire housing. So let me get those on there. So that's all there is to it. I just folded those tangs down over on top of one another, and that'll work fine. If I was doing this every day, I'd buy a crimping tool, but I do this occasionally, so needle nose work fine. And you just slide the end over the wire terminal, and that's it. Instant gauge car harness. So now that wire end is on, and it has the correct loom. And that just slides over the sending unit. And you're done.